So that is Manchester United's pre-season finished. If we're looking at all the games, largely it was positive. The Everton game, that was pretty disappointing. Today, I thought that the pace of the game was slower than I wanted it to be. But we saw Sesko being unveiled. We saw some good stuff, some good attacks being created. We need a Baleba-type signing. I mean, it's just abundantly obvious. It's not even being greedy saying that as a United fan. It's just the truth. All right, let's run through the game. You let me know what your main takeaways were in the comments. But let's talk about this first, right? Because this is fantastic for Manchester United. It really is, all right? I'll speak about how Mbeumo played today and Cunha. Cunha got 90 minutes. Mbeumo got 70, I think. And Sesko was unveiled. And my word, yeah, we could have done with a striker in there. Mbeumo's crosses, it's probably one of the highlights of the game, really. I'm excited, but it's not enough, I don't think, all right? I think we need more than that. I just want to say it was cool seeing Dave back at Old Trafford. I wanted him to go home crying. He made a couple of decent saves. United have, 5, 6 shots on target? Good. We can still create more. But that's something I would say. Kind of in all these games, we have been creating. All right? There still isn't that control. We're not going to get that control until we have that midfielder. But Amorim will be happy in the sense of the creation of chances. Remember, we were doing that loads last season. We weren't scoring enough. But it's just so painfully obvious. And it's why post Mbeumo and Cunha, I was like, midfield would be my next priority. Now, United went and gone Sesko. I'm not exactly going to be upset about that. But it doesn't matter who you play there. You start with Casemiro there today, you don't have that physicality in midfield. You bring Ugarte on, he's going to have physicality, but then weakness in possession. It's going to be compromised. Mainu in there, great in possession, weakness out of possession. No matter what the midfield partnership is, alongside Bruno, there are just going to be compromises. Ugarte and Mainu was probably the strongest midfield that we saw in pre-season, and then also the weakest against Everton. So there just isn't a great midfield in this Manchester United squad. It's going to be an issue all season. I do think with the attack overhaul that we have now got, United aren't really going to struggle too much, I don't think, with creating chances. I think as we continue to progress and get better as a team, become more cohesive, we're just going to make more and more opportunities. And if we're speaking about someone who I think was exciting today, I'm going to go for Mbeumo, right? And I particularly was excited about the crossing. It's not, like when someone crosses, sometimes, you remember Valencia back in the day, head down, just put your foot through it, just lace it. And Mbeumo was heads up, crafting chances with measured crosses. And maybe if it was a different goalkeeper, would have had a goal out of it. But I'm looking forward to seeing Mbeumo swinging those crosses in. That's Mason Mount. We'll speak about him next. And this man being in the middle. Bloody hell, he's massive. I mean, he is 6'5". So I already knew that. But it's going to be dead exciting seeing these three fully fit and firing in this Manchester United attack. I do honestly feel that creating goal-scoring opportunities isn't going to be a problem this season. I don't even think it was that much of a problem last season. We just didn't have the finishers. But we've got them in these three. And Mbeumo lasted 70 minutes. Cunha lasted the full 90. I think that's an important takeaway to take from this game as well. Who played 90 minutes? We had Dorgi played 90. India played 90. Probably means that he's going to be starting. Yoro played 90. Bruno, Cunha. Anybody else? There might have been some others. Not quite sure. But Mason Mount played, 80-odd minutes? I think from a fitness perspective, Mason Mount looks sharp. Mason Mount looks fit. He looks ready. In terms of output, I thought he created a couple of opportunities today. But I don't want really to see Mason Mount starting as the false 9. I don't really want to see this man starting as a false 9 either. I don't want to see Cunha playing as that furthest player forward. Again, on show today, it's just the greatest strength of his game is ball carrying. When he has the ability to cover 10, 15, 20 yards with the ball at his feet and run towards the opposition's box. It's going to be something that Cunha can do better than pretty much anyone else in that attack. I'd much rather see Mbeumo playing as the focal point if you're going to play someone up front. But ultimately, we're going to be waiting for this man to be fit. I think the fact that Højlund hasn't played in the last couple of games, is that just indicative of the fact that United don't want to take any risks with him because he could get injured and we're probably going to be loaning him out? I imagine it's that. Because we've had Mount starting up front there and we had Cunha starting up front against Everton. I don't really think either of them worked. So it really is going to be over to Wilcox, to Barada, to get that midfield type signing. Now, I for the life of me, if I was going to put it down as a percentage, I'm going to give us like 10% chance of signing Baleba this summer. I thought it was 0 until this week. I really did. But then we're in talks. So if we're in talks, it must mean that we're able to afford him. I think the big question here, can we convince him enough of the project so that he can put pressure on Brighton to sell him from his side as well? I want to join United. I want to be part of this project. I've seen the signings that they brought in. I've seen the new Carrington. I've been told about the vision. I've been told about the project. I want to be part of that. If Baleba does that, then maybe there is an opportunity for United to sign him. But if it's not Baleba, whoever it is, and whether it's going to be pivoting to Wharton or I don't know who the alternative would be. I didn't even think we could afford these types of midfield signings, but we need one, right? It is a necessity. This is the signing that is going to transform how we play out from the back, the intensity of the team, the ability to build up, and the strength out of possession as well. He is the complete midfielder, and all these 3 signings added a lot to this team. But a midfield-type signing like Baleba is the one that unlocks it. It's the one that pieces it all together. I would argue it would be the biggest summer signing, which is a bit of a madness for me to say that after we signed these 3. It has been a great summer. But for it to be exactly the summer that United need, we need a midfielder. I don't really think there's going to be any starting 11 this season that Amorim puts out that will be able to maintain the sort of intensity that we want for the control to come back. And I'd say that's probably the disappointment I've got from today was the pace of play. I thought Fiorentina played quite deep, and at least we were creating chances. We looked better from set pieces. That set-piece goal that we conceded, I was like, what are you doing, lads? Ball comes over the top. The whole squad's at the front post, flies over everyone's head. Oh, you mean that defender, that attacker that no one's marking at the backside? Yeah, great. Sweeps it in. But then we scored from a set-piece, and our crosses into the box were probably the most dangerous part of the game today. Yoro had a chance or 2. Heaven got on the end of 1. Casemiro, he could have scored 2. We could have easily scored more than 1 today if the finishing was a little bit better, and maybe if De Gea didn't have as good a game as he did in goal. Overall, I'm pretty happy with that pre-season. All right. Do I think we're in the perfect condition going into Arsenal? No. Well, we've got a new signing who's literally not played a minute for us yet. We've got Mbeumo who hasn't been able to play for the full 90. The only one of those 3 signings who's played the full 90 was Cunha, and that was today. Do I think that we're seeing a bit of a hint towards a starting 11 against Arsenal? I think so. I'm not saying that they're guaranteed to play, but those that played 90 minutes today, I would assume that Amorim's got those players in mind for his starting 11 against Arsenal. Overall, that's what it was a bit of a meh game. I think we could have won it, but Mbeumo looked exciting. We got Sesko unveiled. Cunha's already in the team. Now go out and get Baleba and complete this summer.